Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Super Bowl week. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how are we doing?
You feel go Saturday. You see it Saturday? Did you see what I saw Saturday?
Super Bowl week. Nobody cares about a sub 500 Lakers team. Nobody cares about the phony go.
Yeah, he real go.
You know, it's funny to me that the Bengals aren't due to arrive out here in Los Angeles for the Super Bowl until tomorrow, which seems kind of late, wouldn't you say?
And
I'm starting to wonder, should they even come at all? Yeah. Should they just stay home?
That's really normally Skip went Monday is the latest I've heard someone's coming, but I've never heard anybody coming.
Well, I think they might be afraid of the Rams.
We always got there on a Sunday.
Oh, everybody does. It comes on Sunday.
That is interesting.
I think maybe the Bengals might just forget about playing the Super Bowl.
They got there. They saw Odell balling in the playoffs.
We got no shot.
Mm-hmm. They're going to show up. We don't know what we will see, but they're coming. Oh, and you know, your Lakers, Shannon, I guess we'll get to them later. But the reason we need to start by talking about the Super Bowl, because the big matchup between the Rams and Bengals is days away right now, and Odell Beckham Jr. is looking to punch his golden ticket. The receiver has said, quote, "I know the opportunity that's at hand." And when asked about the opportunity to go from superstar to Super Bowl champion. So, Shannon, we're going to hear from all the big names during today's media availability, which is always fun. But would you agree that OBJ is the biggest star in this Super Bowl?
Yeah, when you look outside, Skip, we're not just talking about the game. I think if you take this, and this is the biggest game in North America. So when you think about the eyeballs that's going to be watching this game, when you factor in Asia, you factor in Africa, you factor in Europe, OBJ is the most recognizable name in this game. Now, is he the biggest star in the game as far as, like, if you just say the U.S.? No, I'm not going to. No, I don't believe so. But when you talk about world appeal, he has 15 million followers. No other NFL player has 15, maybe Tom Brady.
But I think he's number one.
Yeah.
Number one.
So,
Odell's number one.
So when you factor that in, Skip.
And you got to throw in the Twitter, it's not that much, but it's 4 million.
Right. So you look at almost 20 million followers worldwide.
Correct.
No other player has that kind of appeal.
No.
Skip, remember, he got a $5 million Nike deal for a wide receiver, not a quarterback. They normally reserve those for quarterbacks.
Yep.
He got that as a wide receiver. So it just goes to show you the appeal that he has and his reach that he has. Mm-hmm. So for me, Skip, I don't really think it's close. You look at the people from a LeBron, being with LeBron or hanging with a Drake or hanging with a lot of the entertainers that he's able to hang with outside of the game of football. I don't think any other player, with the exception of probably Brady, but Brady isn't in this game.
He's not.
So when you look at OBJ and you look at the Bengals and you look at his teammates, it's not even close, Skip. Nobody has the reach in this game that OBJ has. No one has the reach that he has. So for me, and this is also another opportunity, Skip, for him to silence a lot of the critics that said OBJ is no longer OBJ. He can't do what he's done. Skip, if you look at what he's done in the regular season since he's got to the Rams, he went from like 3.5 catches a game, 38 yards, to all of a sudden he's up to 6, almost 7 catches for 80 yards. So they've increased his opportunities, and he's made the most of that situation. But for me, Skip, I don't really think it's close. When you look at Q rating, when you look at, you factor in the countries around the world that's going to be watching this game, I guarantee you more people will know, that's Odell Beckham, than any other player. Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Stafford, Burrow, Chase, none of them has the appeal that OBJ has.
Okay. Do you realize what an astounding statement you just made? So let me quickly run you back through my history of covering Super Bowl, shall we?
Yes.
I started with Super Bowl 10 in Miami. I was working at the Miami Herald, featuring Roger Staubach versus Terry Bradshaw and the Steelers. And the two biggest stars in the game were obviously Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw, who's still a huge star, getting bigger by the day. Mm-hmm. And then we start to go into the Montana realm. And it seemed like every year Joe Montana was going back to another Super Bowl and winning another Super Bowl and MVP, although Jerry Rice won the one against Cincinnati. And then we go to this guy named Elway. You might remember John Elway, right?
Yes.
And he was dominating a period where he just kept going to Super Bowl after Super Bowl, and he would be the biggest star in the game no matter who he's playing against, because could he get over the top, over the hump? And finally, with Shannon Sharpe as his primary receiver, here they went with Terrell Davis running the football. All of a sudden, John broke through and won a couple of Super Bowls. But it just seemed like every year it had some. He was the featured piece of the Super Bowl, right?
Skip, it's always, with the exception of maybe the 2000 Ravens, it's always been about the quarterback.
Brett Favre had a little run. Then my man Troy Aikman and Emmett and Michael had a run through the 90s.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was all about Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. And he was going to be the star of stars in every one of the Super Bowls, right?
Manning.
And you could argue, there's some Mannings, there are two Mannings going on.
But in the Super Bowl, we're talking about just that game.
Yeah.
It's always been about the quarterback.
Always, all the way down to last year when we finally got Patrick Mahomes versus Thomas Edward. Here we go, right?
Yes.
And we had cavalcade of stars in that game, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you just told me something that I completely co-sign. That by far the biggest star in this game, and I love this guy, I'm intrigued, I'm on the edge of my seat for this game, but by far the biggest star is a receiver, and let me get this straight. Let me just double check my notes here. He made the Pro Bowl in his first 3 years in the league as a New York Football Giant. He was the toast of New York for those 3 years. He has not made a Pro Bowl for the last 6 years. So you just told me that a receiver who hasn't made a Pro Bowl for 6 years is going to be by far the biggest star in this game. And I say, why? How? Well, it has to do with the media age we're in. It's called social media, and it's about followers. It's about
name recognition.
Name recognition. And what happened in New York? How did he arrive? What happened on a Sunday night back in 2014 against my Dallas Cowboys? A game that, by the way, the Giants wound up losing 31-28. What happened in that game? This happened. Eli Manning throws it as far as he can, and Brandon Yu's car couldn't get there, and Odell one-handed it. And I believe it was Chris Collinsworth who said, that's the greatest catch I've ever seen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it? Yeah, it's up there. We've seen a couple since then that might rival it, but given the stage against my Cowboys, in New York on Sunday night football, you can't get all that much bigger. Maybe Monday night would be slightly bigger, but did he not seize the moment? Yeah,
that was his first game, Skip. That was his first game in the NFL.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, and it was just bombshells went off, right?
Yes.
All over. We were talking about that catch for weeks to come. And then, as the Giants became a pretty good team, better than they were at that point, all of a sudden, Odell became the biggest soap opera in New York. And there are a lot of soap operas that are filmed in New York, right? And he became the biggest soap opera star in New York because what kept happening between plays, after plays, on the sideline with all of his antics. He would get into it with Josh Norman. There was that one classic game against Carolina. And I don't know what buttons Josh was pushing, but he pushed every one of Odell's buttons. And Odell went ballistic. He lost it. He lost his poise. He lost his mind in that game. Remember, after plays, he was getting a running start and going after Josh. And then we had the kicking net incidents where he's hitting it and then he's making up to it and proposing to it. It was just one thing after another. Was he not the biggest soap opera star? And then it was, is he happy in New York? Does he want out of New York? And then all of a sudden they do finally make the playoffs. And he takes his group of receivers to get ready for a playoff game up on the frozen tundra at Green Bay. He takes them to South Beach, and we see him on Trey Songz's yacht getting ready, basking in the Miami Beach sun to get ready for a game up on the frozen tundra. And Odell stunk in that game because he dropped an early third down pass, then he dropped one in the back of the end zone. And that was his first playoff game, and he left his mark in Lambeau Field by taking his helmet in the tunnel, walking to the locker room and just smashing a big hole in the wall. And the New York media just fixated on that hole in the wall because that became the story. And from there, New York finally just gave up on him and shipped him to Cleveland. I don't think Odell was ever happy there, but it was always Baker's fault, what's happening. But very quietly, what slipped under the radar, Odell had 3 surgeries in 4 years in Cleveland. 3 in 4 years. It's horrible. He's now 29, but I don't see quite the electric sort of burst and quickness and speed that we saw early in his career, right?
I think he still has it, Skip. I think the opportunities weren't there. He's finally getting healthy. You're right. The last 3 or 4 years, when you start having hernia surgery, you had knee surgery. You have
an ACL.
ACL, right.
And what's Brady say? That's a forever injury, right?
So he's had some surgeries that would impact that. But I think since being over a year removed from his last surgery, he's starting to look like the OBJ. Now, is he all the way back to the first 3 years OBJ? I don't think he's quite there yet. But another year, he's going to be just fine. And Skip, you're right. In New York, a lot of the negativity, Odell brought it on himself. The Cleveland situation, he didn't bring that on himself. They were looking for someone to blame why Baker hadn't taken that next step, because we saw a lot of guys skip in the second year. We saw Lamar Jackson. We saw a lot of the guys that came along, the Josh Allen. We saw them take that next step. Well, why isn't Baker taking that next step? Well, it's Odell. That's why. So now, all of a sudden, he's been removed.
By the way, I thought Baker did take the next step down the stretch of a year ago without Odell, but we can go back and forth on that all day. The truth is, that's a sad sack franchise. They got problems, and they still got problems.
They still do.
Okay? So whatever. Odell finally found Valhalla to me because he just flat out got cut. They just said, you go choose where you want to go.
Yes.
And it was, might he go to Green Bay? Might he go home to New Orleans? Nope, he's going to the Rams. And now that I look at it, it was by far the smartest move. Like it wasn't even close to what could have gone on in New Orleans or in Green Bay because he already had a home in Beverly Hills. He belongs in L.A. He was actually born to be in L.A.
Right.
And then the beauty was, I don't know, he thought he was going to be like the 4th receiver up to Robert Woods and Van Jefferson. Then the day after he signs, Robert Woods goes down, and all of a sudden, OBJ, wait, he's got a chance to shine now. But he gets to do it in the shadow of the most productive receiver we've seen in a long time.
Well, for a season, he's the most productive receiver in NFL history. For a season, The history, not just the history, the 101, 102-year history of the NFL Cooper Kupp season this year is by far the best.
And I'm not sure how Cooper Kupp does it, but he definitely does it. And yet, as we've marched through the playoffs, we had 2 players who had checkered playoff pass, and Matt Stafford was 0-3 and Odell was 0-1 because of that debacle at Lambeau. And all of a sudden, those 2 are riding the magic carpet of career turnaround all of a sudden because Stafford's heated up, and along the way, he's taken Odell with him, and Cooper Kupp, obviously, is still Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
Okay.
Skip, in games like this, Skip, Matthew Stafford has kind of changed the narrative of him. He couldn't win the big games, especially the playoffs, because he was over in the playoffs. Now you see what he did in Tampa. He goes down to Tampa. Yeah, they're playing really, really well. They tie the ball game up. He made 2 of the best throws of his career. Now, I'm not so sure how hard they were, but given the circumstances, 27-27, we've seen guys miss routine throws. They were routine, but we've seen guys miss some routine throws. He makes that. And then they're down 17-7 going into the 4th quarter at home. And he makes throw after throw.
He did.
Now, Tart let him off the hook. He dropped one. But sometimes, Skip, you got to get a little lucky.
You do.
And overcome that and make the plays. OBJ, you mentioned Lambeau Field. He's 0-for-1. Man, OBJ, he's not that guy. He can't. Now, he's not the number 1 receiver, but I think Odell has proved why they gave up what they gave up to go. Well, they didn't have to give up anything. They just had to sign him.
Yep.
And I think he's proven that, Skip. I believe he's proven that.
Okay, so why is Odell so huge on Instagram? Not so much on Twitter, but on Instagram.
Yeah.
He just has a knack for posting the right thing at the right time, and they're mostly highlights. They're stunning highlights. A lot of them come in pregame catches because nobody puts on a better pregame show than Odell, right? I'm talking about circus catches. They're one hand, they're behind the back, they're between the legs. Nobody can do that better than Odell, but that hasn't actually translated into, except for his rookie year. His rookie year, he led the league with 109 yards a game. Okay, that'll work. And then it began to fade down. The first 3 years were pretty good, but then the Cleveland years were all just, it went down for
that first year. The first year was okay.
88 a game, not bad, but then 65, then down to 46, and he ended at 38 a game.
Right.
Okay. So the point is that it's about posting videos, but it's not really about your personality, because the Odell I know a lot of people who know him very well, they find him mostly introverted off the field.
Yes.
That when he calls you or called Chris Carter in the past, he's very deferential. You know, he will defer. He wants your advice.
Right.
He doesn't want to tell you how great he is. He wants you to tell him how to be great, right?
Right.
And because of that, because he doesn't have a huge personality, he doesn't get many I don't know any commercials that he's done. Do you know one that pops up?
I think I saw something. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay, see, that's the point. Where I was trying to think of one this morning. I don't know him as a big commercial maker.
Right. Skip, I think the thing is that he's interesting. What other football player is on stage with Drake? What other player is in Paris at Fashion Week?
Okay, but he also had the incident in Paris, the video where he's with the model in the hotel room, and it looked like there was some
people
white
like train wrecks, remember?
Huh?
They'll stop. You know, a lot of time there's a wreck on one side, but the traffic is clogged on the other side because everybody's watching. Move on out the way. You're not getting out the car and helping them keep it moving.
Agreed.
So people like looking at things like that, Skip.
Agreed.
But for Odell, he's interesting, and people like, man, I wonder what. You see him doing the challenges. He's jumping out of his roles. He's doing the challenge.
Always
he
doing
gets
the
7, 8, 9 million views. So people like things of that. So he's carved out a nice little niche, Skip. We look on IG and we look, who is this? How you got 70 million followers? Who are you? What do you do? Or somebody just playing video games and people watching, 8 and 10 million people watch. I'm like, how? But Odell is carved out a niche as a non-quarterback, Skip. That's what's so amazing about this. If a quarterback was like Odell, we wouldn't even give it a passing thought. But Odell is a wide receiver.
Right.
And he has this kind of acclaim. He has this kind of brand, this kind of face recognition in a sport that's all about the quarterback. They've made a few rules, okay? You can't hit the defensive receiver. But everything is predicated on taking care of the golden guys, Skip.
Yep.
And since Super Bowl, it goes back to Bart starting the first Super Bowl, Lynn Dawson all the way through, like I said, with the exception of the 2000 Ravens or the 02 Bucks, it's always been about the quarterback. It was Montana Elway. It was Aikman and this guy. It was Bradshaw and Staubach. It doesn't matter. It's always a bit. Joe Namath and Johnny U, it didn't matter. It's a quarterback's league.
Yeah.
So it's always been about that guy until Odell. How did Odell usurp the quarterback?
And it's almost like he's got the magic touch for being at the right place at the right time, where he won't say anything this week that will set people off. It's not the way he speaks. It's what he does. It's the challenges. It's the dances. It's the hairstyle. It's LeBron saying #free Odell from Cleveland. LeBron is turning on his Cleveland Browns because he's an Odell fan. It took that. Right? And go ahead.
And Skip, we remember when they played, I don't know if Brady was still in New England, and Odell gifted him some goat cleats. You know what I'm saying? And then Baker happened to be on the field, and Baker looking at his side eye like, hold on, you just gave this man some cleats. So, and players around the league, he's universally beloved, Skip. They love Odell.
They do. Because at heart, to me, from what I know of him, he's a good guy.
He is.
His heart is good.
He is.
I always almost too simplistically divide the world up into you got a good heart or a bad heart. He's got a good heart. And yet, on the field in productivity, he's not Cooper Kupp. He should be, given his adulation and idolatry, he should be the go-to receiver here, but he's not. And he has benefited greatly because he's in a sweet spot because you say he gets a little double. I haven't seen double, but whatever. He's going to draw a lot of single coverage because they're going to put 3 guys on Cooper Kupp because nobody has figured out how to control Cooper Kupp. He can run after catch. He's got that start-stop, that stutter step. It's just hard to cover him.
Make tough contested catches, high point the ball.
And Matthew Stafford just absolutely loves Cooper Kupp because he trusts him because he's going to throw it because that guy's going to go get it. And when he had the drop the other day, but in general, he's just going to catch everything that you throw to him. And again, in general, Cooper Kupp's going to break the game wide open, and Odell's going to be a luxury. But you want to talk about Odell in a good spot here?
He's in a great spot, Skip. It reminds me of John Taylor and Jerry Rice.
It does. That's a good one.
Jerry, if you remember, Skip, Jerry won the MVP, had over 200 yards. It was JT that caught 200 jet X slant for the game-winning touchdown.
And by the way, those were the days when my biggest pet peeve was, and I was at that game in the front row of the press box, they came and took your MVP votes with like 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
And Jerry had racked up.
He had over 200 yards.
Over 200 yards. Well, obviously you say, okay, but the game had not really even started yet because Joe Montana was going to hit, of all people, John Taylor with the game-winning pass. I thought Joe should have been 4 for 4 in MVPs because he did throw a game-winning pass.
Because that was a 92-yard drive, right?
It was spectacular.
And guess what happened, Skip? Remember, I think it was Lewis Billups dropped a touchdown that would have sealed the game.
Would have sealed the game.
Joe continues on down the field.
Joe marches on.
We know what happened.
And we know what happened, but Joe should have been the MVP. But the point, you're exactly right. John Taylor was actually in the Odell spot.
Yes.
Opposite Jerry Rice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe Odell's in position A to catch the game winner this time.
And we see that, Skip. Remember Michael Irvin. Alvin Harper caught the big play in the NFC Championship game.
I was in the middle of that one.
It was huge. You get that, and I think Odell is all of a sudden he understands that he's become very comfortable in who he is and what he is.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times early on in his career, everything was trying to please and trying to show. Now he's like, you know what? I'm healthy now. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to talk about all this and all this other things. I'm going to show you that I'm still an elite receiver. And Skip, everything they've thrown in his direction, he's made plays. And I don't believe they're here. I don't believe they win the NFC Championship game because he had 9 catches for 113. 6 of them went for first downs.
Okay. From what I saw of Robert Woods when he was healthy, I think he was playing at a little higher level than Odell is right now. So could I make a case they'd be a little better with Robert Woods and Odell?
Oh, yeah, of course. But here's the thing, Skip. For Odell to come into this system, pick it up in the middle of the season, play, and this system is really all about in between the numbers. Odell makes a lot of his catches outside of the numbers. That's what he is. Skip, he still has great lateral quickness, maybe not what it once was. He can still high point the ball. He's still technically sound in the route running tree, and he still can run after the catch. So Sean McVay had to come up with how can I use this guy when he's really not what we normally are accustomed to having, a guy that works mainly between the numbers. But they get him inside the numbers. They start him outside. They run him on some over routes. They run him in some end cuts. So he's done a great job of carving out a niche for himself. But Sean McVay has done a great job of putting him in position. And also Matthew Stafford said, you know what? I remember this guy. Let me see if he still got a little juice. Here, take this, Odell. Here, take that. I'm going to find Cooper Kupp now. Hey, Coop, just hold on. I'm going to come see you in a few minutes. But let's get Odell going.
Congratulations, Odell. You are the star of stars in Hollywood.
Just considering the last couple months Odell has had, it's impressive that he's gotten to this point. And all eyes are on Odell. No mercy. So the Dolphins have hired 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel to replace Brian Flores as their new head coach. The 38-year-old was instrumental in utilizing Deebo Samuel in the league's 7th best offense. And McDaniel identifies as multiracial, which means the 49ers will receive 2 third-round draft picks via the Rooney Rule for developing a minority assistant who was hired for a head coaching gig. And meanwhile, the Texans are reportedly in discussions with their associate head coach and DC, Lovie Smith, about becoming their next head coach. Former NFL QB Josh McCown is apparently out of the running for the gig, and now Smith, who took the Bears to Super Bowl 41 and led the University of Illinois for 5 seasons, is gaining steam as a candidate. So yes, there is a lot there, but Shannon, your reaction to these 2 moves?
I was surprised. And Skip, I'm trying to figure out the difference between multiracial and biracial. I mean, once upon a time, if you had 1 drop of black blood, you were black. Now all of a sudden, you this and this.
I don't know.
We're going to go with the minority.
All right.
He's a minority. And I'm very surprised because he's the offensive coordinator. Hold on. He called plays in San Francisco, Skip?
No.
I thought that I'm very excited that the young man got the job. I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's been with Kyle Shanahan for a long time. He was in Washington on Mike's staff, along with Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur. That was a pretty interesting staff, considering none of those guys are currently in Washington for the command. For the Commanders, man, they had a lot of names.
First time you've said that.
For the Commanders, Skip. I'm like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but I guess he gets a lot of credit for a lot of the things. And reading some of his bio, he graduated from Yale, and he wanted to be a Hall of Fame head coach, contributing to an organization that's committed to winning a championship. So I'm excited for the young man. I really wanted to see them offer that job to your guy in Dallas. That's why Kellen Moore. And then see if he turned it down. Because Jerry Jones was coming out here talking about how guys turn jobs, head coaching jobs down. Yeah. So I wanted to see if Kellen Moore would turn that job down and go back to call plays for the Dallas Cowboys. I guess we'll never know because he didn't get the job, so he had no choice but to go back. The Lovie Smith situation, and I'm excited for Lovie. Got to start on the Coach Dungy, worked his way up with Hall of Fame, in the Super Bowl against Coach Dungy. And unfortunately, that was the first time two African Americans met as head coaches. Unfortunately, one of them had to lose. But for me, Skip, if I can be at all honest, I believe in my heart of hearts, they wanted to hire Josh McCown. And they knew the optics of how that would look. All these minority candidates with NFL coaching experience, be it head coach, be it offensive coordinator, be it defensive coordinator, and you go hire a guy from a high school that's not a head coach, that's not an OC or a DC, the optics of that, considering what's been permeating out of that locker room for over the last 5 or 6 years, would have just been awful. And I think they went with a very safe. I think Lovey's good. He was on the staff. He kind of know, but it seems like it's a David Culley situation. I mean, what are we doing here? It's a very tough situation.
So you think stopgap again?
I do. I do. But Skip, in both situations, what's the quarterback situation? Brian Flores was not convinced that they could win big time with Tua.
He was not.
They got Davis Mills, who showed some promise.
Texans.
I'm going to need to see a little bit more.
Likewise.
But the question is, if you look at the black coach that's had stability at the quarterback position, it's been Mike Tomlin. There's not an accident that he's been in place for 15 years and he's never had a losing season.
For that matter, look at the white coaches who have had the quarterbacks. It's a quarterback's game. Go ahead.
Sean Payton. I guarantee you, Sean Payton had a 30-year-old Drew Brees. He ain't leaving. Coach Belichick. We saw what Coach Belichick was in Cleveland. As a matter of fact, I played against him when he was the head coach of Cleveland. We beat him like a drum. Get that guy, Skip. I don't care what color you are. You got that guy, you're going to go places. But I'm excited for him, Skip. I read the letter that Commissioner said over the weekend. I thought it was a lot of, this is what this is embarrassing. Basically, long story short, this is embarrassing. This does not look good. It's not what we stand for. All the yada, 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 yada. But for me, Skip, I'm just excited. Like I said, I just believe Lovie Smith is a stopgap. I believe they wanted to hire Josh McCown. But somebody got in the ear and said, you can't. You can't with all these qualified minority coaches in the NFL. And you're going to go outside of that. You're going to go to high school and get a coach that doesn't call plays and bring him up. That would have been a horrible look. And Brian Flores, Brian Flores was like, please do it, because then you will confirm what I knew to be true all along. But like I said, Skip, I know Lovey. When he was the linebacker coach at the Bucks and became the defensive coordinator on a Super Bowl winning team, became the head coach of the Chicago Bears. But it's a rarity, Skip. It is a rarity that an African-American coach can get a head coaching job 3 times. This will be his 3rd job if he gets it. Chicago, Tampa, and now here. That doesn't happen. I can't think of another.
He went to Illinois in college football for a while and did not do well.
He started out pretty good, but then, Skip, it doesn't matter. Skip, you ain't got no quarterback. You ain't.
They went 17-39 in 5 seasons, and that was it.
That was it.
Okay. All right. Quickly on Lovey, then I'll get back to Lovey. I'm a big Lovey fan. I agree with your premise about Josh McCown. There's no way after that hit the fan that they could go Josh McCown. the obvious choice for them was Brian Flores.
Correct.
To me, he was made for that here. And he was rumored early on to be a primary candidate.
Right.
But then he dared to out the texts of one Bill Belichick.
Right.
You blew the whistle on Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And the two primary decision makers in Houston are chips off the old Belichick block in New England, Caserio and Easterby.
They got their jobs because of Coach Belichick.
Because of Coach Belichick. Do you think they're going to hire Brian
Hell nah.
Flores? No way.
No.
So that was the end of that deal.
Yes.
And I think, to your point, Lovey was there. Lovey's a made man as far as you look at those early years in Chicago. He was the NFL Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
We're going back a ways. It's 2005, but they went 11-5, and they turned it right around into 13-3 in a Super Bowl appearance next year, and only ran into Peyton and
with Kyle Orton and Rex Grossman as his quarterback.
Rex Grossman started the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Okay, so to get Rex Grossman to a Super Bowl is pretty great.
Pretty
to me,
good,
right?
Pretty good.
And his run in Chicago was pretty good. It was 81-63, 3-3 in the playoffs. It's good. It's quality.
Right.
It's made man to me, where I trust that he could do this again. And then he went to Tampa, and again, just didn't have a quarterback, and they went 2-14 and 6-10. That was it for him in Tampa. But to your point, does he deserve enough? Sure, he does. So was it just a fallback? Yeah. Is it a stopgap? Well, they hope that he would click right away and good things would happen, but I'm not sure how great the things are going to be with Davis Mills.
Well, Davis Mills needs to be Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or Patrick. He needs to be one of those guys in order for that, because they're talent deficient, Skip, in a lot of areas. So your quarterback's can overcome a lot. That's really the one position that if you're deficient in a lot of areas, he can help you overcome that.
I agree.
But he better play above his draft status. I think he was a second, third round pick?
Third?
Yeah, so he needs to play above that draft status.
My man David Culley, once a quarterback at my school, Vanderbilt, he did some really good things last year.
He got him to play well,
On defense, they were a handful for people, and they pulled off some big wins over Tennessee. Okay, now to my favorite story of the evening, Mike McDaniel. I will be the first to admit publicly, I didn't even know who Mike McDaniel was until San Francisco was playing at Dallas in that playoff game, and they had a shot of him up in the box celebrating a big play or a touchdown or something, and I said, who is that? I looked him up. Mike McDaniel? Well, he's been riding the Shanahan train for a long time, except mostly he's been the caboose on the train, right?
Yes.
Because he started all the way back in 2005, a couple of years after you were done, with Mike. And it reminded me of how Mike got started. So I think Mike's got like a soft spot for him because he came from literally nowhere.
Right.
He was just a walk-on player. Oh, they're all walk-ons at Yale. But he went on an academic scholarship to Yale.
Yeah.
He's proficient in playing the violin. Not sure how that helped him as a head coach, but you never know. But the point was he was on the team at Yale but had no stats. So I'm assuming he never got to play.
Right.
Receiver. He's
well, he's going to be a hell of a coach then.
Okay. Well, then.
Because, Skip, most of them, most of the coaches, they were not good.
How did your man Mike Shanahan get started in this business? He just showed up one day. Have you heard this story? At the University of Oklahoma, the school I grew up watching, loving, living for, and asked Barry Switzer if he could have a job. He'd been a quarterback at Eastern Illinois, but he got hurt early and didn't have any career there after he was a wishbone quarterback in the Chicago area. And Switzer got a kick out of him because he was just so gung-ho. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make you a grad assistant, and I'll give you, I won't pay you a nickel, but I'll get you a dorm room if you'll be an RA, a resident advisor on the dorm floor. So he's just in the dorm as a counselor or whatever you want to call it. And that he did a whole year under Barry Switzer at Oklahoma. And it segued, they won the national championship, and it got him a job at Northern Arizona that actually paid a salary. And then here he was off to the races.
University of Florida. They ended up coming to Denver with Dan, offensive coordinator. He got the head coaching job at the Raiders, who still owe him some money.
Okay, well, there you go. But again, Mike McDaniel followed kind of that same path. But to your point, he's bounced around for a while. He had to go to the United Football League for the Sacramento Lions for a couple of years. But he just followed the Shanahans.
Yes.
And to your point, what input could he have? Kyle Shanahan and Mike, they're the game planners. Well, would they listen a little bit to him? Would he have an occasional suggestion here or there?
It better be a good one.
Huh? It better be a real good one to get it implemented, right?
I know Kyle a little bit, but I know his dad really well.
Yeah.
If you come up with an idea, it damn sure better work.
It better work. So how do you parlay that? Do you think he called one play in his life? I say no. No.
Skip, you know what I heard about it? He was getting ready to do an interview, and the guy that was asking him a question name was Mike Jones. And he said, Mike Jones! You know, like the Mike Jones, the rapper out of New York.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I'd ever heard of Mike McDaniel. So I'm like, well, who? I mean, a coach, knows Mike Jones and making light of a situation in an interview? I didn't give it a passing thought. I didn't even know he was up, Skip, he was even interviewing for this job until about 2-3 days ago.
Out of left field, out of the blue. Did it help that he was, as it's written, he identifies as multiracial? I guess so. Did that put him over give him an edge over Kellen Moore? I guess so. I don't know. So in the end, I don't know how he got the job, except that that the Shanahans blessed him, and that was probably all it took.
Right.
And I'll bet Mike and Kyle blessed him.
You're probably right, Skip. The thing that I know about Mike, because of, as you mentioned, how he just showed up, Mike rewards hard work. He believes in hard work.
Yep.
And a guy like Rod Smith, an undrafted free agent, worked his tail off, whatever you needed. Rod was what we call chase the ball, Skip. Whoever's had the circle, Rod was going to play that. He was, Tim Brown, he was Jerry Rice, he was this one and that one. And Mike saw how hard he was working. Mike well, you know what? I'm going to put him in the game. Put him in the game. The first thing, Skip, it's a tie ball game. He lines him up on the single receiver side. We go in Hail Mary. He throws it to him on Darrell Green. Rod jumps up, catches it for the game-winning touchdown in 1995.
How tall was he?
Rod, 6 foot tall.
Okay.
But he had tremendous leaping ability. And
you know what? I always thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. And the thing was, Skip, he was our scout team quarterback. The quarterbacks had bum arms. Rod would run the scout team because he played quarterback in high school and a little bit in college before he moved to wide receiver. So Mike believes in hard work. He sees guys working hard, and they're loyal. They are the one thing I know about Mike Shanahan, he's loyal. You look at Bobby Turner. He's followed him everywhere he's went.
Everywhere.
And when he wasn't in the league, Kyle had a job. He was there with Kyle.
Good point. Well, I just hope Mike McDaniel is as good as Rod was.
Anthony Lynn, where's he going back to? He was with me in Denver.
He was.
He was a special team coach under Mike when he was in Denver.
Yep.
So I hope you're right, Skip. I just hope these guys get a quarterback, because if you get that guy, Skip, good things going to happen. But without that quarterback, I don't care. With some of the greatest coaches, look at what they did when they didn't have quarterbacks. And we know one. Yeah. That everybody runs everything through now. Everybody, when you coming up with a millennial team, the first coach they go to is who, Skip? Coach Belichick. He's like the oracle of everything.
He is.
I hear you. Yeah. Gotta have a QB. Okay, well, guys, good stuff there. Good discussion. I do want to get to Shannon's Lakers because you were fired up at the beginning of the show. I'm not sure why, but let's get into it. After missing 5 games, LeBron returned to the court with a 29-point triple-double, and the Lakers come from behind overtime win against the Knicks on Saturday. However, Russell Westbrook had to watch the final 5 minutes from the sideline as the superstar was benched down the stretch. And the former MVP only scored 5 points on 1 of 10 shooting. And when asked about leaving him off the floor, Frank Vogel said, quote, "You just make tough decisions in the spirit of whatever the team needs to win a game." Shannon, going forward, should the Lakers bench Russ in crunch time?
Now, Skip, they asked him after the game. Yeah, he said, I was disappointed, but all I care about is winning. So if I'm Frank Vogel and if I'm the front office of the Lakers, I'm saying, bro, you told me all you care about is winning. I think our best chance for us winning is you coming off the bench.
Thank you.
That's what I was telling him. So you care about winning, right? That's what you said. The problem that I have with him, Skip, is that he never want to accept any responsibility for his poor play. The first thing he said is that everybody else missed shots. I'm allowed to miss shots. Bruh, ain't nobody asked you about that. When you was getting triple-doubles, you never said everybody else getting triple-doubles. But it's like, it's always, well, everybody else missed shots. Bruh, you playing bad. You're playing terrible. And what's on top of that, you're not playing any defense. Skip, at least if the man giving you 38 and 38-point triple-doubles, 40-point triple-doubles, 50-point triple-doubles, you make it look. bro, you 1 for 10. And you're not going to play defense, he's the one guy that's so impacted by when he's not scoring. Because if he's not scoring, he's like the hell with anything else. And that rubbed me the wrong way with him. Just Kevin Durant has an off game, which isn't very often. He's like, hey, couldn't get a rhythm. Give them guys credit. They played good. They don't say, well, Kevin Durant doesn't say, well, when I was scoring 50, you never asked me about anything. When I did this, you didn't ask me about anything. That's how it's good. I'm not going to ask Skip how his drive to work was if he wasn't in an accident. That's how it works. If you're in an accident, what happened, Skip? Ain't nobody asking you how. They ask you about your play when you play bad. Because the expectation, you're supposed to play good, Russ. You are the all-star. You are an all-NBA player, a top 75 player. So you should have went home and looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I'm a top 75 player. I'm a former MVP, a multiple-time all-star, multiple-time first-team All-NBA. I became unplayable in the overtime. I only played 5.5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Damn, I must be, what's going on with me? Instead of saying, oh, everybody else plays bad, somebody else did this, somebody else did that. What about you? I didn't ask you about anybody else. I didn't ask you to critique the team. They asked you about your play. What was your play like? Skip, he came in, the Lakers had a 6-point lead when he returned to the lineup.
This is in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And by the way, he was effectively benched in the fourth quarter.
Yes, he was.
Because if you look at your fourth quarter box, what do you see? I see that Trevor Ariza played all 12 minutes. I see that Talen Horton-Tucker played more than Russ. And I see Austin Reeves played more than Russ in the fourth quarter. So
exactly. So for the game, he was minus 15. With Russ on the court, they were minus 15. With him off the court, they're plus 22. I got to skip. I did something you did. I got a little video. I want to show people a little video. Skip, you don't already like the Bronx video. I'll let you have the video.
Well, I have one.
I got one. I just want to show you this right here. Look at this, Skip. Look at Russ. Now he got R.J. Barrett. Skip, what is that? Skip, what was that?
Well, that's what Vogel said after the game.
I got enough. Now remember earlier? Do we got the other one? Look at this, Skip. Okay, that's this guy. I got it. Skip, what was?
No, you don't. How many times have you
okay,
seen
here's
that
the
this year?
Okay, this is the Karis LeVert. Do not let Karis LeVert go right. Skip, what was that? And then he was talking about, do not let Karis LeVert, we had said, don't let Karis LeVert go right. He out there hopping and reaching. Skip, look at this. Look at this. Here you go, hopping again. What is he hopping like a bunny rabbit for? It ain't Easter. You Peter Cottontail? Man, drop your hip, slide over there and close the door. If what he says is true, that all I care about is winning, when Frank Vogel and the higher-ups, Rob Pelinka, call him in a room, Kurt Rambis, whomever else, Jeannie Buss, and they sit him down and says, Russ, you say you care about winning. We believe our best chance to win is with you coming off the bench. I've seen enough with him, LeBron, and AD. He doesn't, Skip, I'm not saying he wasn't a great player, but he's not a great player with the Lakers currently. And right now, Malik Monk is better than him. Malik Monk can finish better at the rim. He's better in the pick and roll. He's better in the dunker spot. He's a better shooter from three. He's a better mid-range shooter. He's a better free throw shooter. So, well, damn, Skip, I mean, I keep going better. How the hell is he playing at all? Yeah, you know it.
Frank Vogel after the game. I think obviously Russ was having a tough night on both sides of the ball. He said that.
Yeah, he said both. B-O-A-F, both.
Yes. And Bron was really going. This is Vogel still. So I knew the ball was going to be in Bron's hands, and I felt like we were going to get more from a defensive perspective and off-ball action from Talen, as in Horton-Tucker.
That man scored 2 points, Skip. All Taylor Hunker gave you was 2 points, Skip. And he said, you know what? I'd rather have him on the court than a former All-Star.
So here we go again. For the previous 5 years, averaged a triple-double. Slam dunk, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Disaster for LeBron and AD. Does not fit. Gums up the works. They have to win in spite of him. Yet both of them, foolishly after the game, fed right back into he's got to keep shooting. You know, he's got to just shoot shots in rhythm. You know, both of them said this. And I said, you're kidding.
What rhythm?
what rhythm is right, which brings us to it's time once again for our almost daily Russell Westbrook blooper reel. This one featuring 9 missed shots on Saturday night. If we could roll it. 9 misses. Here we go, Russ. Russ, come on, that was ridiculous.
That was so weak.
Yeah, that was weak. Russ? Whoops. Russ? You feeling it? How many of those has he missed this year?
You got the dunk in there that he missed?
Yeah,
I hope you got it. Skip what?
That hit the side of the backboard, Russ.
Oh, my God.
I like it how he holds the pose and then...
No, Goodwill, that ain't going, that ain't nowhere near the basket.
Russ, whoops. He almost had a turnover, and then he missed a left-handed. Worst hands of any point guard I've ever seen.
Ever.
He's missed, again, right at the mouth.
They was like, no.
The crowd is saying no, and he said, well, I'll do it. And then it doesn't really bother him because, as he said once again after the game, he says, it happens. I missed some shots that I normally make. Russ, what do you normally make?
Yeah, exactly. Bro, you a 43% career shooter. It's not like you make a ton of shots, so you actually doing exactly what you've been doing your career. Missing.
From 3, he's now 30%, 30%. That ranks 143rd of 149. From the free throw line, and we didn't even put in, he had 2 huge misses the other night down the stretch of regulation. 57.9 seconds left. He clanged 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they were up 4 at that point, and I think those would have been the daggers. I'm pretty sure.
And that was right after he let R.J. Barrett go.
That was boom. Yep. So from the free throw line, Russ is now 66.8%. That ranks 102nd of 104 qualified. Only worst free throw shooters in the league are Christian Wood and Evan Mobley. Really? So 2 centers are shooting worse free throws than you are.
Skip.
You are the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers.
That became unplayable in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Of 38 guys that have taken at least 200 shots in the restricted area, Russ is 37.
No surprise. How many has he missed at the rim?
Because
left and right.
Here's the thing, Skip. The reason why Tom Brady was able to play for 22 years, not only was he good, but he didn't rely on athleticism. So he was least affected by Father Time.
Yep.
Russ relies on athleticism, hence why he can't finish like he once could at the rim.
Yep.
Hence why Malik Monk is better because he can do more. You put him in the pick and roll with LeBron or AD. You can dribble handoff. He can shoot the mid-range. He got the 3. Put him in the dunker spot, Skip, in between the 3-point line and the basket. One bounce, he's to the rim, let it up, or he can flush it home on you. Russ can't do that.
Can't do it. Yet, after the game, your man Anthony Davis said, and I quote, me and LB, as in LeBron, me and LB, we're telling him, we don't care if you miss every one. Just play. Shoot your rhythm shots. Don't hesitate. What are you talking about? You're going to feed that fire and the ire of the fans?
The man had 4 turnovers in 29 minutes. He had to limit him. Frankie V said our greatest chance of winning is putting Russ on the bench. Skip, here's a man that's, like you said, for the last 5 years, triple-double, former MVP, multiple-time first-team All-NBA, multiple-time All-Star, one of the 75 greatest players of all time, and he became unplayable. Let that sink in. Austin Reeves is better. Malik better for the Lakers. Now, Skip, if you put him in a situation like you had him the other night, where it could just be him, and what he did is that all those other situations, he made us, all we focused on was the triple-double. We didn't see 8 turnovers connected to those triple-doubles.
Nope.
We didn't see the 9. We didn't see the 6. We didn't see the poor shot selection. Now, Skip, now he's on a team that have championship aspirations, and everything, under your Lakers, everything is under a microscope.
Correct.
So you get an opportunity to, damn. But he's been playing like that his whole career.
He has.
That's why he doesn't see anything wrong with his skill.
He does not. He has always prioritized starring and statting over winning. And yet we got to see him at Charlotte with no AD and no LeBron, and he went OKC Russ.
Thank you.
Right?
There you go. Yes.
And yet he made a couple threes, and he fell back in love with the three, and it comes down to the last shot, and he decides, I'm going to try one more,
Right.
and he missed it pretty badly.
Remember what we said about Paul George when Kawhi went out? And we said Paul George went back to Indiana Paul George.
Yeah.
And then he could do what he needed to do.
But Paul George was way better being Indiana, Paul, because they could actually win some games.
He took Miami to Game 7. So we know it, Paul George. Yeah, Paul George, yeah. Paul George is way more efficient, shooting the three, mid-range, can get to the basket, can finish, a better free throw shooter. Yeah, he's a better player than Russ.
He's a better player.
Malik,
and he's 6'8".
Yeah. Skip, at this point in time in Russ's career, Malik Monk is a better option.
He is.
Austin Reeves is not the offensive threat, but Austin Reeves does all the things defensively. He's going to take the charge. He's going to understand where he's vulnerable at.
Austin Reeves just knows how to play basketball.
Thank you.
Yep.
Because he can't rely on athleticism.
Nope.
So he has to study. He has to be instinctive to beat you to a point. Because if I don't, Skip, the guy's going to get by me. So he understands angles. Russ's athleticism, it's waning. That's why guys just blow right by him. That's why he's having trouble finishing at the rim. Russ used to finish at the rim. Russ came like Derrick Rose. Before Derrick Rose had those injuries, how athletic he was, how he could finish. That's what Russ was.
I agree.
Over the years, the injuries and age and attrition and playing like that style has robbed him of some of his athleticism.
He'll flash it occasionally on the offensive end, but not on the defense.
Oh, he ain't even trying to play no defense, Skip. At least try. I just want, if he'd just pinched R.J. Barrett, so RJ's like, ow, and lost the ball out of bounds, I'd have been okay with that.
Yeah.
But you just can't, Skip, he got him. Everybody's like, okay, everybody got a man, we good. And then all of a sudden, he just turns and just opens the door.
I got to tell you, it has to be driving LeBron out of his mind.
It's driving everybody crazy, to be honest with you, Skip. I mean, look, the thing that I love about LeBron ain't going to throw anybody under the bus, Skip.
No.
He keeps saying, I told him to text me.
He won't throw an individual. He did that one time in Cleveland when he said, we're top heavy as you know what.
But he's like, I told him to text me. Get away from it. Hit me. AD. Hey, me and LB told him to get out of his own head.
Yeah.
Just take the shot in rhythm. You had some in rhythm because you know why he's hesitating? Because he know he playing terrible.
Yep.
Skip, you as an athlete, you know when you playing terrible. I like to think I was an athlete at one point in time, at some point in time, and I knew when I was playing terrible.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times, Skip, guess what started happening? When they threw me the ball, I'm dumb. Damn. Because it's in my head, because I done dropped a couple early. I done missed some blocks, even though nobody saw it. So I know what's going on. I'm like, damn.
Yep. Last quick point. I read this on one of those days, the weekend, Saturday, I believe, that Bronny's favorite player has always been Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
And it surprised me a little bit because now I see this Russ, and we always saw him before.
Right.
We just let it go. We just let it happen. But it made me wonder, do you think Bronny influenced his father? Because his father loves Bronny.
Right.
And do you think that influenced LeBron even a little bit to say, okay, let's go get Russ instead of Buddy Hield?
I can see why Bronny likes Russ. You know why? Because Russ would play hard. Bronny plays hard.
Yep.
Bronny doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the athleticism of his dad.
No.
So he has to, it's the little things.
Yep.
When you're undersized, Skip, there are certain things that you have to be able to do.
And Bronny, is he 6'3"-ish?
I think they list him at 6'3", 190.
Yep.
So Skip, that's going to be his thing. He's got to be on the floor getting loose balls.
Yep.
He has to do those things. Well, you see Russ, AD, everybody on the Lakers has missed time except one player. Name the player that has not missed a game. Name the one player that doesn't need a night off. Ain't had no back tightness, ain't had no knee stiffness, ain't had no crook in his neck, ain't had no upset stomach. The one guy.
By the way, that guy, Russell Westbrook, is leading the NBA in minutes played to your detriment. He's also leading the league still in turnovers.
Yeah. Why are you surprised by that?
I'm not, because he's playing so many minutes, it just goes up.
They cut him down. He had 29 minutes, and he still led the team in turnovers. The moment the mere fact that he's on the court, he gonna turn it over.
Yep.
Yeah. No mercy. The Rams-Bengals Super Bowl showdown could come down to who wins the battle between Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase. Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris is confident in his All-Pro cornerback this weekend, openly stating, "We're going to dictate the terms that day," and adding that Ramsey could cover any receiver in NFL history. Any receiver in NFL history. Shannon, did you like or have a problem with what Raheem Morris had to say about Ramsey?
I like it. But when he says dictate, he doesn't mean Ramsey's going to dictate. He's saying my front four is going to dictate.
Well, that's not what he said.
That's what he's saying.
No, he's saying that Jalen Ramsey is one of one.
Skip, I don't care how great your corner is. You don't get pressure on that quarterback, that corner will get ate up. Jalen Ramsey, Mel Blount, I don't care.
Maybe not Deion. Maybe
they're going to get Deion too. Because he going to only be able to hold up for so long now. But, you're going to pick and choose when you go at time. Skip, look, I believe Ram is the best corner in football. When you combine his covering skills, when you combine his ability to tackle, his physicality in which he plays the game, I like J. Ram. And could they? Sure, Skip, but he doesn't normally start the game out traveling. Somebody starts to heat up. Okay, Ram, you got it. That's what he does. He's not the typical time was in your face. Time was a press corner. Revis is a press corner. Jalen prefers to sit back, let it see it develop, and then go. Or he'll do what we call press bail. He'll be in a press position at the snap of the ball. He bailing on you. Yeah. He likes to see things develop. Great skill. He has great instinct. He understands. You can tell he watches a lot of tape. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. You can get him occasionally on a double move. He'll bite a little bit. But I like his physicality. He's not afraid to tackle. He's not afraid to hit. He can cover. Do I believe they're going to start the game out with him on Jamar Chase? No. Because what we've seen, Skip, even though Jamar Chase didn't have an outstanding game, he only had, 5 for 66 and a touchdown, it was T. Higgins. They have a lot of other weapons. Boyd had a couple of first downs. T. Higgins showed up big. Obviously, we know what Jamar Chase can be. But, Skip, this game is going to come down to that front four, that front five. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, A'Shaun Robinson, and Greg Gaines. They will determine the outcome of this ball game. If they do what I think they can do, it's going to be a long night. Now, Joe Burrow, you can't break him. You can't break his spirit mentally. Because I saw him get sacked 9 times and still come away with a victory. So you can't break him mentally, which makes them a very dangerous team. I've seen guys you sack them 4 or 5 times. They were okay. we ain't got it today. That's not how the Bengals think. That's not how Joe Burrow thinks. But I like this matchup. I like being able to have that. Skip, you play cards. I got that big joker in my pocket. We play in spades. I got the big joker. That's something that I love to have so I can play it at any point in time, and I know I got me a book. You got that guy number 5. You can put him on somebody at any given time and know I can rest easy. That's a great luxury to have. Man, I got Jalen Ramsey. I got Aaron Donald. Von
You're saying the Rams coaches are going to be sleeping through the whole game?
I got that.
They're just going to be taking naps through the whole game. They got this so much.
You know you had that nap. You wake up, slime coming on up.
Yeah.
Really? I thought I was just going to take me a little nap, but I slept like 2-3 hours.
Really?
Yes.
So this is going to be a 3-hour nap for the Rams coaching staff. That's what Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer, just said on national TV.
What I said is that you rest easy knowing that you have those guys on your team.
Okay.
You always try to...
No, well, that's why the Rambassador Eric Dickerson, the great Eric Dickerson, gave me 21 points for $500.
You gonna take the man 21 points?
Heck yes, he gave them to me. And by the end of this week, you're going to give me at least 10.
No, I'm not going to give you 10.
You said this is going to be a 3-hour nap for the Rams coaches. They're going to doze off because they're going to be so comfortable with what's happening on the football field. So again, back to Jenny's question. Do I like this or have a problem with it? Well, I love this, but I'm giving the Bengals a great shot, and I can't believe he said this. And I'm a big fan of Raheem Morris, and I wanted him to get a job, and maybe he still will get a job when all the dust settles. I don't know. Is the New Orleans job still? I don't even know what it is right now.
Exactly.
Is it Sean's job or not? I don't know, but whatever. I love this for the Bengals because it plays right into their young fighting spirit. And we talked to open this show about how Odell Beckham Jr. is by far the biggest star in this game. Well, I also suggest back to you that Joe Burrow has a chance to come out of this game as the biggest star. Come out.
Yeah.
If Odell has a blah game, sort of a non-game where he's just not really a big factor, and Joe Burrow takes this game over and wins it, it's going to have to be a close win, a narrow win for the upset specials for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
If he, again, they're the quote-unquote visiting team. They're not actually the home team, but they are playing at SoFi Stadium. It's the Rams' stomping grounds. If they pulled off the upset, and it would have to be mostly about Joe Burrow. And it would have to be some about Jamar Chase, because Spagnuolo said, I will take him away from you. I will do everything in my power. You cannot have him today.
Right.
And what did you say, caught 66 yards?
I think 6 balls for like 66 yards.
Right away, Uzomah was lost.
Right.
And I don't know if he's going to be able to play or not. He's got sprained MCL.
Right.
So does Higbee. But the point was, Joe Burrow says, okay, that's where he's Brady-esque. He just says, okay, if you're not going to let me have him, I do have a 6'4" receiver over here who will go over the middle.
Yes.
And he's not afraid either.
Yes.
And he starts catching balls over the middle that just riddled them.
Yes. I would put Jalen Ramsey on T. Higgins.
Okay, would you?
Yes, I would. And then I would play roll coverage to Jamar Chase, because I'm not afraid of their tight end. I'm not afraid of him. Uzomah, I would be afraid of him because I've seen him make plays. I know he can make plays. But their backup tight end, I'm unafraid of him. I'm going to take J. Ram. And I'm going to get exotic with it, Skip. I'm just not going to just line up and say, okay, we're doing this. But more times than not, I'm going to take Ramsey, because Ramsey does better, because he's a big corner. Yeah. He does better with big receivers. The Mike Evans, a big guy like that he can get his hands on.
I mean, Jamar Chase has got a little stature to him.
But Skip, he's more of a get in and out of breaks. So I like Ramsey better against Higgins, although I'm not afraid to match him up against Jamar Chase. I would put him on Higgins, and I would play coverage to Jamar Chase.
Okay, I'm here to predict to you. If Jalen Ramsey does not start on Jamar Chase, I will promise you he'll have to end up on him, because if you don't play Jalen on Jamar, Jamar will hurt you early. Mm-hmm. And if he does, you know what Raheem's going to say, you just got to go get him.
Yes.
You need to take him away. He needs to back up this statement that I don't care. He's one of one, and he says, I would have put him on the greatest. Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, name them. The greatest ever. Yeah. I would have put him out there on an island and said, I will dictate to you with him.
Right.
That's a big, bold pre-Super Bowl statement that I promise you Joe Burrow will take notice and Jamar Chase will take notice. And what I loved about Jamar Chase was he got the dropsies, and they got in his head in the preseason, and I thought he was in some trouble, and he snapped right out of it as soon as they got started with the real games, and he showed me some deep character, some backbone. That kid is what I would call a baller.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He is just a gamer. He wants to go play football, and he will run after catch, and he will get open and make big catches at big moments in big games, as we saw, obviously, in the game at Tennessee. He made the catch of the
Well, we saw with Skip, he had a rookie record, 266 receiving yards against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 17. Ooh. So we know what he's capable of doing, Skip. Yeah. Made the Pro Bowl. He's an outstanding young receiver. Ooh. Having played with Joe Burrow for a couple of years, they have a great chemistry. It wasn't like they had to work on that, Skip. They already had it.
Okay, I'm just wondering, maybe I'm even predicting that we might see what we saw on Tom Brady's last touchdown pass. I didn't know it was his last. I'm still shocked I'm saying
Mike
this.
Evans threw it away, too.
Okay, well, can we please see that, if we could, please? This turned out to be Tom Brady's last touchdown pass, and it was a thing of beauty.
He ain't gonna have that kind of time.
55 yards to, oh, wait, it's Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans.
He got him on the out and up. He got him on the out and up, Skip. He got him on the little out and up.
Wait a second.
Yeah, he got him on the little out and up.
I'm not sure Jalen dictated the terms of that throw. I'm just not sure.
Hold on. You actually think Tom Brady gonna have that kind of time? They went max protect.
Whew.
And I think a lot of times that's why Jalen likes to play off coverage, because if you're off coverage, you can see that, and you can take a claim. Okay, they max protecting, so they're probably going to try to take a deep shot here.
Well, I think Mr. Brady just sniffed that out and said, "You're going to single him?"
But 99.
Here I go.
99. AD.
He didn't get there.
Von Miller.
He didn't get there.
Leonard Floyd.
He didn't get there.
A'Shawn Robinson.
Yeah.
Greg Gaines. You like Double G? I ain't talking about Gucci either. Double G be coming.
He catches my eye every time I watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow went down 50 times during the regular season. No quarterback who got sacked 50 or more times has ever made it to the Super Bowl, because most of them don't make it out of the season.
He's going to go down at least 10% of that.
Really?
Yeah, at least 5.
Huh. 5 sacks.
At least. You want some do on that?
I might by Friday.
Okay.
5 sacks.
5.
The Hall of Fame.
I got 5 on it.
Kansas City got him once. Chris Jones thought he had him another time, and he didn't get him.
Chris Jones is phenomenal. AD is a different animal.
So you got 5.
Von Miller can have a chance to do something.
Animal.
There are not very many Super Bowl MVPs that won Super Bowls at 2 different teams. Obviously, Peyton did it. Brady did it.
Are you predicting that again?
I'm just saying.
I'll take 2 cases on that right now. Von Miller will not be the MVP.
No. I'm saying to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the MVP, but win a Super Bowl at another location.
Okay.
Peyton did it. Brady did it. Von had a chance to do it. They said it was 4. I can't think of the other one off the top of my head.
I think I need 10 points in this game because
I
I don't know if we're there yet, but we do have all week to get to that point.
No mercy.
Well, on February 20th, it is the most iconic day in all of motorsports, the Daytona 500, the great American race. It kicks off the 2022 NASCAR season only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So after missing 5 games, it felt like a long time, LeBron did return to the court with a 29-point triple-double, and the Lakers come from behind overtime win against the Knicks on Saturday. The King said afterwards that, quote, taking accountability would help LA turn their season around. So Shannon, give LeBron, your guy, a letter grade for, the weekend's performance.
You know what he gets.
No, I want to hear your heart on this.
I'm a college professor grading, what am I at? I'm in mechanical molecular engineering.
Oh.
Really? That's quite a combination, mechanical and molecular.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that class.
New one.
Wow.
Gets an A.
Gets an A. What kind of curve do you have in your class?
The man gone for a week and a half.
He was.
Missed 5 games and come back and gave you a 29-point triple-double.
I guess that knee was just fine.
With his efficient self. 13 of 24. Very efficient.
Wow.
Plus 12 when he's on the court. Minus 5 when he's off the court. In the fourth quarter. Skip love fourth quarter, guys.
Yeah.
10 points, 2 assists.
Wait a second. What was his plus minus in the fourth quarter?
Who joined?
He was a game low, -6. He and Russ.
Who came back in? Thank you.
Thank you.
10 points, 2 assists in the fourth quarter. He only scored 2 points in the fourth quarter, but he had 2 assists. He was responsible for 7 of the 11 points in the fourth quarter. Skip.
You're talking about in the overtime.
In overtime, excuse me. And I know a lot of people say, well, LeBron, why did you shoot that shot? Why did you not drive the ball?
A lot of people, one person said that. You're sitting across from him.
LeBron attempted 2 free throws. Now, Jenny, we showed in the highlight him driving to the basket, and Trey Burks fouled him. They didn't call it. So here's the thing: LeBron is never going to be able to win because if he hits a shot, they say, well, there was no pressure on him because the game was tied. If he passes the ball to AD misses the shot or he fumbles it out of bounds, they say, LeBron, why would you not take the shot? If he drives it, they don't call it. LeBron, why did you just not pull up at it? So he was in an unwinnable situation. But this is what we know about LeBron in late game shooting. In game tying or go-ahead shots in the last 10 seconds in the playoffs, Skip Bayless said he loved the playoffs. That's when the intensity and the magnitude of the moment is at its highest. LeBron James is shooting 39%. Kevin Durant is at 19%. Steph Curry is at 20%. So he got an A because you and I both know. Let me ask you a question. If LeBron is not there, do they win or lose this game?
Okay, they're playing the 24-28 New York Knicks.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Skip,
do they win or lose it? Well, I think they could actually win it with AD if Carmelo had been okay, but he wasn't there. Okay, but if you gave me Carmelo and Malik and a little bit of Russ here and there, just a little bit.
Remember when LeBron was out? When LeBron was out, how were they doing?
Well, at Charlotte, I told you we got OKC, Russ, because there's no AD to get in his way.
And then what happened?
They lost on a last-second shot that he blew, right? Okay, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Thank you. I'll give you this. He did bounce back with a vengeance, and I thought he had a swelling knee. It's like a swelling. I know way too much. In fact, every time we talk about knees on this show, I go home and my knees start hurting because I start thinking about them because you can't think about your knees. I can't. I ice them every single night. I've had 2 surgeries over here and 1 over there, and I still run every single morning. But I can't think about them. I'm not going to stop running. I love it too much. It's how I get ready to run over you.
Get on a bicycle. So
I do get on a bicycle.
I want to get you on record. I want to get you like you do me. I want to get you on record. Skip Bayless is calling LeBron James a liar, saying there's nothing wrong with his knee. I want to get you on record. If Skip Bayless said LeBron James is lying.
If your knee swells, you got an issue inside your knee that needs to get addressed and fixed, and you know that as well as I know that.
Maybe he needed rest. Maybe rest fixed it.
I hope it did, because that was pretty great. He played 40 minutes. We
didn't anticipate that.
Oh, I didn't think so. 40 minutes on a swollen knee. It's like a bad on bad. It's insult to injury.
There you go. See, you see how you exacerbate Skip. The knee was swollen. Nobody said it was swollen.
Nobody knows if it was. That's what he said. That's what they said.
The doctor said that. Hold on. He woke up and said it was swollen. He went and got treatment. They said it.
That's what the Lakers said. I don't think LeBron ever said that, but whatever. Now back to my biggest pet peeve in the history of sports. This man is obviously one of the greatest players ever. I don't think he's better than Michael Jordan, but that's a discussion for another day. But the point is, he's better than what he does repeatedly at the end of games. What do I always call him on this show, sitting in this chair? I don't know how many times it has flown out of my mouth. Greatest driver of the basketball I've ever seen is LeBron James, because he's left-handed by birth. He's ambidextrous.
Yeah.
So he's 6'9", I don't know what he is, 260, 270. Once he gets going downhill, nobody left in this league, even to this day, as he's in year 19 at age 37. Nobody can keep him from the rim, because he can still elevate, and he can definitely body control and gyrate and make shots off the glass, or just flat out tomahawk it.
Yes.
If you give him an opening, he will take it. So here we go, and I'm looking at what he did the other night, and he made 10 of 13 shots inside the paint. 10 of 13. So here we go again. For the fourth time this year, he's got, I tweet it. So I first guess it every time. I say, King, you just drive the basketball. Have the guts to go to the free throw line, because the game is tied, if you have to, and make one free throw. That's all you have to do, is make 1 out of 2. You can do that. I know it's scary, and he's had problems. He's got demons. He's actually got Ben Simmons demons late game free throw line. He does, because he runs from it like nobody I've ever seen. So what does he do? I first guessed it. I said, you know what he's going to do? He's going to pull up, because he's pulled up. This is the fourth time this year that he has pulled up, and he pulls up and takes a fairly deep three. That wasn't as deep as the ones he'd taken.
You saw that what he hit the logo.
Yeah, logo to win games. That you're talking about overtime at Indiana.
No,
right?
I'm talking about the one he put in this game right here. Hit one from the logo.
Okay,
RJ Barrett.
did. Okay, I got it. But that was obviously not to win the game.
Right.
Okay, so let's go back to the 4 times this year when LeBron has had last-second shots with the game tied, and it first happened at the Pacers, then we got 2 against Sacramento, because that went triple overtime, and that was only 2 nights later, and then the one on Saturday night. If we could see these 4 shots in a row, please. These are all game-tied shots. Just drive it. Just go to the free throw line. No, he pulls up. That was really deep. What was that one? 32 feet. That's like 8 feet beyond the line. And then here's Sacramento at the end of regulation.
That was good. Oh, that was good. That looked good. That looked good. You know it. It looked good.
Short. And this is at the end of the first overtime. That's pretty guarded. And that wasn't a bad shot he got off, actually. But again, you're not going to keep going. You're not going to drive it. And then this is the one the other night. No. That's 4 more times that he's had game tied, end of regulation, or the one against Sacramento, the first overtime. Not one time has he put his head down and said, I'm going to the rack. Knowing him, he might just get to the rack and just make it and win the game.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. What indication had he received throughout the course of the game that if he drove the ball that he was going to get fouled, considering he had only shot 2 free throws up until at that point?
What's his better shot? Driving it or shooting threes?
But here's the thing, Skip.
Okay, right now, he's at 35.1% from the three-point line. That ranks 94th of 149. It's just below. I'm going to be nice today and say that's well below average.
Well, we're going to hit 4 of them things in Giannis' face on Wednesday.
That's fine if you do, but we're talking about a last-second shot when you're unstoppable to the rack. Nobody can get in your way.
But here's the thing. You're right. But they haven't been giving him the calls. He's shooting the fewest amount of free throws in his career. We see him drive, okay? They're not giving him those calls anymore. They're going to Joel Embiid. They're going to Giannis now. He's not getting that call.
Okay, but help me out. At the crypt, as I call it, used to be Staples, but it's home and it's packed and they're on the edge of their seats. You don't think the refs are going to give him that call? I do.
I don't.
They might not give it to him in the first quarter or the third
Why
quarter.
Why not? If you're getting fouled.
I don't know. It's almost like the Shaq treatment where they just say, he's so big and strong, just play through it.
Well, hell, Skip, he not going to shrink by the time he take the last second shot.
Well, I just think at the end of a game, at the
Get
Lakers,
him an A, Skip. Go ahead, Skip. It's okay to give him an A.
I told you I'm going to be a good guy today, and I'm going to give him an A- because he did not drive the basketball. Just one time, I'd like to just see what would happen.
He did drive the basketball.
Okay.
And he got fouled on the Trey Burke foul. They didn't even call it.
Oh, stop it. So, to counteract your whatever bogus stat that you threw out there about the playoffs, since LeBron James has entered this league, he has missed by far the most. These are called clutch field goals. These are late and close field goals. He's missed 102 of them. That's 25 more than Dwayne Wade, who's obviously no longer playing basketball. Yeah. That's 25 more, 102, and that just keeps mounting.
You do realize that Steph Curry just hit his first walk-off shot this year. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter the world has ever known, hit his first walk-off shot.
What have I said from the start about Steph?
I don't know.
He shrinks when the pressure is greatest.
All I'm saying is
he's always come up small in the postseason, never measured up to those back-to-back MVPs.
All I'm saying is, Skip, is that my guy has done it time and time again on the biggest stage.
Okay.
And
your guy in late and close free throws has missed 16 since he entered the league. That's 8 more than the next player, who's another long-gone player, J.R. Smith.
You do realize...
Okay? And by the way, those 16 misses, they've held steady for 2 years now because he just runs from it. He won't even try them anymore.
Guess what? Nobody's made... Since he's entered the league, who's made more game-winning shots? That's that over there?
Well, he's played 19 years, so I hope so.
Okay, so therefore, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
so
but this is 102. This is 25 more than Dwayne Wade.
I'm glad. Skip, Dwayne Wade has been out of the league for almost 3-4 years.
He has. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So if he's played 19 years, that means he should have taken more shots than other guys in 19 years. How many years is it for KD? This is 15 years, but KD's missed a year and a half because of the Achilles injury.
That's true.
Okay, so who else is close to that?
Well, it boils down to this stat, and you try to make the case that he's the GOAT, and he's a lousy three-point shooter, and he's even worse free throw shooter.
Better than somebody else I know.
As far as superstar shooters go, LeBron James is now shooting 75.7% from the free throw line. For him, that's actually a little better than usual.
Yes.
Okay, that ranks 74th of 104 qualified. That means it's way below average for a superstar.
No. See, you got to grade me by me. See, that's where people get caught up at. See, people start judging themselves by what somebody else is doing.
You're a little
Judge me by what I've done.
So you're a little better than bad.
No.
Right? Because you've been bad.
You said his average is 73. He's shooting 2% better than his average.
Oh, way to go, LeBron.
Exactly.
Way to go.
Why you judging me by something?
Got a new little routine?
Why you judging me by how Steph Curry shoot free throws, how Kevin Durant, how Larry Bird, how somebody...
By the all-time greats? By even Michael Jordan?
And I'm better than all of them.
Michael Jordan made 85%. You make 73. That's a huge drop-off. That disqualifies you from being the GOAT.
He should have.
You're over and you're out.
Guess what? He only played 13 years. My guy got 19 years.
Yeah.
So imagine he played 6 more years. He probably been down. He probably been like 72% by now.
That is why LeBron James is going to have every longevity record in the world.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Supposedly he had a swollen knee, and then he doesn't. He's okay. He's
I'm going to get you on the record. You said LeBron James is lying about his knee.
I didn't say a word. I just said it was swollen, and then it wasn't.
Okay.
No one knows how much
you do know
it's called vibranium.
Everyone's hurting right now.
No mercy.
Well, despite being out for multiple awards and making the Pro Bowl, Micah Parsons won't forget the sour note the Cowboy season ended on. When asked about what he'll remember most from his rookie year, the Penn State product said, quote, "I'm going to remember that we lost in the first round." And we haven't forgotten around here either. Shannon, what did Micah's response tell you about him?
tell me he's focused on the right things, but he should get used to it. He plays for the Cowboys. So get used to you losing in the first round, because Skip Bayless has been a fan of theirs for 50 years, and he can tell you how it's going to end with the exception of a few years. First round, baby. First round. That's where you're going. Home, like I predicted this all season. And I told you.
You lost 10 cases of Diet Mountain Dew because you predicted they weren't going to win the East.
How many was I down? How many did I get back?
You got 5 back.
No, I got 9 on one day, got another 5 because I told you to leave first round. But anyway, look, Skip, he met everything that I thought it would be. He met. I didn't think he'd have this many sacks because I wasn't sure, Skip, they were going to use him like they used him. You would like to see him rush the quarterback on every snap and have 20 sacks. I don't think that's realistic, but I thought he was phenomenal. The way he can do a multitude of things. DQ found a way to, like, hey, we're going to line you up outside, let you rush. We're going to line you up inside. We're going to drop you in coverage, let you cover tight ends, backs up the seam, up the rail. Hey, because you can do it all. You're versatile, son. He's special. He's a very, very special talent. And he met all the expectations I think the Cowboys had. He exceeded the expectations that they had for him. So I like the way he talks, Skip. I don't have a problem. Yeah, he's very outgoing. He's like, I'm not satisfied, nor should he be. But they're going to be the norm for y'all. Same thing happened again next year. First round, gone.
So, to your point, whatever chance I have next year of winning one playoff game, just one playoff game, comes down to this young man, 11 from heaven.
What about Dak?
No, I'm about to get to Dak. It's this young man. That's all I want to talk about is this young man, because what a response to a question about what will you remember most about your rookie year.
Right.
I'm going to remember that we lost in the first round. Bingo, kaboom, that's what you say. And I think it came right out of his heart because that's the way he's wired. I'm not sure my quarterback is wired that way.
What?
Because my quarterback keeps making appearances after losing in the first round, and he keeps making statements to the media, and all of them are blame deflection statements. We've made progress. We got 2 or 3 guys at the Pro Bowl. This is going to be a great experience for them. We're going to have a great year next year, blah, 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 blah.
He said he wants to turn the page on this season.
Let's turn the page. No, you need to own this season because it owned you in the end. You did not live up to a $75 million contract this year, including your bonus. $75 million. Got off to a great start. Seen that before. When I least expected it, you had your best game. Actually, his best game was the game against the GOAT, at the GOAT, that opening Thursday night. He was spectacular when we didn't expect anything from him because there was no pressure.
I thought you liked the Patriots game.
It was pretty good because he threw a walk-off pass.
He walked it off.
Yeah, he didn't do all that much during the game, but he did throw a walk-off pass, and he pulls his calf on the walk-off, and Cooper Rush goes up to Minnesota and beats them up there, right?
Might have started Cooper Rush in the playoff then.
Dak Prescott went 0-6 this year when they didn't rush for 100 yards. It's just a bad sign.
It's a bad sign.
And yet, increasingly, he began to spar with the media post-game or even on his Wednesdays. Increasingly, he got defensive with the media about, how dare you ask me? That was his attitude. Like, how dare you? I'm not in a slump. Who says I'm in a slump? Your owner said you're in a slump? I think you'd have to qualify that as a slump.
And then guess what? He has one good game. I guess I'm not in a slump anymore.
Against Atlanta, right? Okay, you stunk the way you've never stunk against your Denver Broncos, right? That was the worst game of his career. They allowed him to get back on the horse late. I was okay with that. I think it helped segue into the next game in which he came out hot against, albeit the Atlanta Falcons. They won 43-3, and I think his QBR was like 98 in that game. But then he settled back into the norm, and he and his team came out flat against, obviously, start with Denver, and then we go to the Raiders, and then we go to Arizona, and then we go to San Francisco. I'm sorry, it's just not good enough.
And Kansas City. Don't forget about Kansas City. Y'all stuck in there, scored 9 points.
Because the defense showed up at Kansas City. Holding my homeboy to 19 at home. That'll work. But Dak had the ball 12 times, and he scored 3 field goals. Really? That's not good enough. And yet, I never heard angry. I never heard mad. I never heard it's on me, and I promise you I'm going to get this back. I'm going to get even for what I'll make it up to you. I never heard that.
You're going to make it right.
I'm going to make it right. And Micah, out of the mouths of babes comes the wisdom that I wanted to hear. I'm going to remember that we lost in the first round. I read a stat this morning that I did not even know. And it just, I was trying to eat my breakfast and it gave me an upset stomach. But this year marked the 11th consecutive playoff appearance for the Dallas Cowboys, who failed to reach the NFC Championship game. That's an NFL record.
Yep.
NFL record?
Yep.
So you've gone 11 times to the playoffs without getting to the championship game, obviously dating all the way back to the season I wrote a book about, the 1995 Dallas Cowboys, early 96. Obviously, they won the championship game and beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. That's the last glory we have experienced.
It's about to be an even number, because guess what? It's going to be 12 next year.
Okay, well, I thought maybe 11 from heaven, as I call Micah, could have broken the curse this year, but maybe it took 11 of these for 11 from heaven to figure out how to break the spell.
Miss Rudolph can't break this curse.
You don't think so?
Y'all are cursed beyond. Until you do right, until Jerry does right, which means sit down, it's going to...
Does right about what?
Everything.
Oh, well, I don't think he's capable of doing right. So what am I going to do? I've told you they have to win in spite of.
Well, you're going to be stuck and you're going to be upset.
This kid changed my life this year. He changed the way they play football.
And what did it get you?
I kept telling you, late in the year, you just knew they walked out on the field before kickoff and they looked around and said, we got 11 and they don't have 11.
What did it get you?
It got me to San Francisco.
And it got you what?
It got me beat.
Yeah,
San Francisco.
Debo ran all over you.
Well, Debo's pretty special himself, I would have to say. But this guy's got Debo potential in him. And to me, what I loved the most about the Pro Bowl was that the skills competition, this took some guts. This is where you're special. And you can laugh at this if you want, but he just goes out there and says, it's 45 degrees and the wind chill's like 35, right? The wind's gusting. I'm going to take my shirt off. I'm going to run bare-chested right here because Chubb is giving me grief off camera, challenging me. You can't beat me in a 40-yard dash. Watch this. And what's Micah weigh? 250-ish?
Easy.
Chubb's 225-ish, right? And he got him. He nipped him at the wire. And to me, that was big time because it's on national TV. And he just said, watch this. Yeah. And again, Tyreek didn't try. And I don't think Trevon Diggs really tried. But that's okay.
I don't believe Trevon Diggs cannot run.
And I don't either. I totally agree with you. I'm with you. I don't think he tried because he knew he couldn't.
No.
So he wanted to laugh. He was laughing all the way to the finish line like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. Well, he knew what was going to happen if he tried. Yeah. Okay? So that's special to me, where you just say, I'm going to do this. That's Deion-esque. It's not, but remember what Deion did at the Combine? Yeah. Nobody thought he was going to run. At the last second, he's got his sweats on. He just says, he just unzipped sweats.
No warm-up, ran 4.29.
He ran 4.29. It's like you're from another planet. That's what Barry Switzer once, after his first practice watching Deion, he says, it's like he's not from our planet.
Right.
Like our gravity doesn't govern him.
Skip, you do realize it's not going to be the same. Y'all might have to get up. Randy Gregory might be gone.
He might be.
What y'all going to do?
Well might be gone.
D-Law got a big cap number. Amari Cooper got a big cap number.
I think Amari might be gone.
Yeah, them offensive linemen starting to get long in the tooth.
All I know is if you want to put another 10 cases on them winning the division, I'll take it right here, right now.
No, 10 cases. No.
I'll give you the field again.
No. I'm just saying, Skip, it's not going to be the same. Remember, I know a team that won the Super Bowl and brought everybody back.
And?
What happened?
Cooper Kupp happened. Cooper bleeping Kupp happened. And the wildest breakdown of a blitz I've ever seen, I still can't get it through my head what happened. I don't know what they were doing.
Well, I want to know what y'all was doing in the first three quarters. The offense. What were y'all doing?
We got it back to 27.
No. The defense got it back with the turnovers. No. The defense got it back.
The GOAT got it back.
Ain't no GOAT did nothing.
He threw for 125 in the
Matthew Stafford made him retire.
Did he?
Beat him twice in a year.
Sounds like he was going to retire already.
Matthew Stafford helped him make that decision.
Did he?
Made it easy on him.
Huh.
Say, if you don't want me to put puss on you next year,
really?
Go ahead and walk.
Okay, give me Cincinnati in 10.
Matthew Stafford said these cleats are made for walking.
Yeah.
You know, that's why these boots made for walking.
The poor Bengals.
Matthew Stafford said these cleats are made for walking.
That was Nancy Sinatra.
I don't think so.
Walking all over you, too.
This is interesting. We're stepping away from the Super Bowl just for a second.
No mercy.
Despite reports that the Nets could swap James Harden for Ben Simmons at the trade deadline, Brooklyn head coach Steve Nash says the team is not moving its all-star guard. Nets GM Sean Marks also reportedly told 76ers president of basketball operations Daryl Morey 4 weeks ago that there was no interest in moving the former MVP. So, Shannon, would you trade Harden for Simmons?
I would. He's not happy. He's no longer happy in Brooklyn, Skip. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Kyrie Irving situation. He understands Kevin Durant is hurt. Being injured is a part of the game. But he's like, okay, we're coming together. We're all going to sacrifice, not just our game, but we're going to make sacrifices in order to win a championship. Kevin Durant, James Harden made a sacrifice. Kyrie Irving is unwilling to make. I don't care about the reason. James Harden says, I don't care about your reasoning because I'm doing the same thing. I could have stayed in Houston. Could have signed that 2-year, $100+ million extension, carry the burden, not win anything. Now they're going back home, and guess who can't play, Skip? One Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant is still hurt. What is he, another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks away? Now they went from being the number 1 seed at Christmas, now they're the 9th seed. James, and here's the kicker. James Harden has a player option. You might lose him for nothing.
You might.
But I tell you what I would do. I would try to convince James Harden to stay, but I'd move Kyrie Irving.
Would you?
I would move Kyrie Irving. I can't have a part-time player. I can't win. What sport you think you can win in, Skip? Win a championship with a part-time player. Quarterback, you can only play on the road. You can't play at home. Baseball player, you can only play road games. You can't play at home.
It's just absurd.
No. I'm moving Kyrie. I'm moving Kyrie because guess what? He has a player option also. He can leave and you get nothing for him. I'm not running the risk of losing both of these guys and possibly get nothing considering what I gave to get up James Harden. Skip, you gave Karis LeVert, you gave Jared Allen away. And guarantee you the Cavaliers wouldn't take him right now for James Harden. They wouldn't swap him back for you. I bet the Nets would love to have Karis LeVert and Jared Allen right now. But you gave up so much to get him, Skip, and you might potentially lose him. But I'm moving. I would definitely move Kyrie. I'm going to try to convince James Harden to stay. I really am, Skip. I'll try to convince him to stay. But I think James Harden has grown frustrated with this situation that's going on in Brooklyn.
So, Shannon Sharpe, you know how much I loved the Nets before the year started, and I equally do not love them anymore. And I believe that one day down the road, 10, 15, 20 years from now, these three players will sit back wherever they are and think, man, what a waste that year was.
We mucked it up.
We had it. We had something nobody's ever had. I don't think there ever been three more talented players
not
together.
Not skilled offensive, not like that, no.
Not like this. At their apexes, all three of them are just top of the charts. Man. And yet, it started with Kyrie's decision, I won't get vaccinated. It destroyed this team. Kevin's hurt, but I don't think he's rushing back because why would he?
For what?
It's like what? Yeah, I'm waiting until next year. He knows they're waiting until next year. James Harden in year 13 looks woefully out of shape to me. And
came in out of shape.
He came in out of shape, and he's staying that way. And what do you always say about you came in hurt and you stay hurt?
You limp into the season, you limp out of it.
Well, it feels like he's still limping through the season because one day it's his hand, and now it's his hamstring again.
Right.
Again? He just looks wrong to me. He looks like he doesn't care. And you know and I know it's getting late early for him because he does not there's no LeBron to him off the court.
Right.
There's no commitment. There's no dedication. He doesn't do anything to stay in shape except play basketball. And there comes a point later in your life where you just can't catch up anymore. You can't let the games get you in shape by mid-season because you eat wrong, which he obviously does, and you don't do any other. It doesn't look like I don't know if he's ever seen a gym before. I don't know if he's ever lifted a weight in his life, but he just doesn't. Now he's starting to look flabby, and he just looks like what's happening to him is what happened to Westbrook, that once the athleticism starts to wane a little bit, you're going to have some problems.
Yes.
Because you can't get to the rim quite as effortlessly as you used to.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we're seeing some really bad nights from him where he just can't scratch, man.
He's looked, Skip, we've seen a couple of nights, a couple of games where he looks like the James Harden, but we've seen far too many games where he wasn't even close to looking like James Harden. And that's the problem. They can't, Skip, even if he stays, if he's not like what we saw when he first got to Brooklyn last year, they can't win. They can't win with even if Kevin Durant is playing like this and James plays like he plays, he's leading the league in scoring. Right. I don't know, Joel Embiid might have passed him with that 40-point performance last night. But even if Kevin Durant is playing like he was playing before he left, and James Harden is playing like this, they can't win.
Okay. To your point, I have no doubts about Kevin. I have no doubts about him staying in shape because he's like LeBron quietly. Yeah. He doesn't post about it, but they say his workouts are all-time Warrior workouts. Right. So I have complete trust in what Kevin will be over the next, say, 3 years. Right. James Harden is diminishing returns, and you better be careful. It's like the old Branch Rickey idea of you should trade a player 1 year before you think you should. You better get up off him. And so now Bill Simmons is reporting that the Nets would do the trade if the Sixers would throw in Seth Curry. I don't know how accurate that is, but
that's my son-in-law. I ain't let my son-in-law go because my daughter and my grandkid right here close by now. I can't do that.
You're talking about Doc? Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, the point is, Ben Simmons is young and healthy as far as I know. I'm a big fan of Ben Simmons. I know he's got the free throw demons, but he is really good at what he does on both ends of the floor. Right, Skip, and then he makes them better because here's the thing, what you can do, 1 through 3, you can let him guard them. And that way you don't have to expend Kevin Durant on them, or you don't have to take, or if Kyrie's there, you don't have to worry about Kyrie trying to guard a Booker or a Chris Paul or a Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. You can let Ben Simmons handle that responsibility, and Kyrie can devote his attention to scoring. KD can devote his attention to scoring. Yeah, Ben was Rookie of the Year, then he made 3 straight All-Star teams, and he's made the last 2 All-Defensive teams. That's pretty great. Yeah. So I would trust that going forward, which is why I'd move. If Daryl Morey is still enamored of what James Harden used to be in Houston, okay, let him go.
But here's the thing, Skip. If you watch Joel Embiid, he's better with Ben Simmons off the court. You see what he's doing this year? Sure. Ben Simmons is better if Joel Embiid is off the court. They're 2 good players separate. They're okay together. All right. But if you break them up, I believe James Harden and Joel Embiid is a better combination than Ben Simmons than Joel Embiid.
What's the over-under on how many games a season both Joel and James would miss?
Oh, it'd
be like half the year, right?
I mean, it looks to me that Joel Embiid is finally taking it serious, and he got himself in some shape. Now, he's probably still eating his nuggets. I still believe he can lose a little bit more weight.
I would agree.
There's no denying right now, Skip, he's a monster. I watched the game yesterday.
Thank you. I agree.
I mean,
40 and 10.
He had to get 40 and 10 because DeMar DeRozan was out of his mind through 3 quarters.
Out of his mind. I agree. So back to the Nets, and you say trade Kyrie, and I can't fight that. But I will say this about Kyrie. He does look good, and he's still playing at a supreme level.
Let's only get the man on road games.
Okay, I got it. But at least he didn't come back out of shape.
No.
He looks good. It looks like he's born in shape.
Yeah.
You know?
But here's the thing, Skip. Okay, let's just say they got, 30 games left?
Yeah.
That means he's going to miss 15 of them at home. Then what? Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, KD, I think I read somewhere where KD says coming back after the All-Star game.
Probably. Yeah, okay. Where are you going with this? I don't know. And remember, it's going to carry into the playoffs where you're only going to get him on the road.
Yes.
They're done. That's what's happened. But
Skip, even in the offseason, Skip, I would look to sign and trade Kyrie. Skip, I just can't do the roller coaster. And I get it. There are things that are more important to him than basketball. I'm fine with that. But let those things be more important to him on somebody else's basketball team as opposed to my basketball team.
Bottom line, the Nets are a mess.
Kevin Durant said, I didn't sign up for this.
He did not sign up for this.
No, and it's just how quickly it has changed. Well, it's kind of been a roller coaster all season. No mercy. According to a report this weekend, LeBron could be willing to leave the Lakers after the 2022-23 season if he could play with his son Bronny. Brian Windhorst said, quote, LeBron likes LA, he likes raising his family in LA, and his post-career businesses are all in LA. But he's made it very clear that he wants to play with his son. And if that situation is available outside of LA, he will pursue it. Shannon, you got any scoop here? Can you see this happening?
Oh, absolutely, because he's made it so abundantly clear. The Skip, he's like, the main thing now is having an opportunity to play with his son. Mm-hmm. And that would be very special. The only time that I can remember, I think Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr. played together. His dad had been cut, I think, a couple of days earlier by the Reds. He was 40 years of age after hitting 206. And the manager for the Mariners at the time says, it's not a baseball decision, Skip. I mean, but this is a chance at history. Senior and junior playing together. Okay. Now, we know they hit a home run in the same game, Skip, and it was a very special moment. Mm-hmm. LeBron James is saying, if I get an opportunity, because we're probably not going to see this again, if I get an opportunity to play a game, 2 games, 5 games with my son, and the only way that's going to happen is that I have to leave L.A., Skip, I believe he'll be willing to do that. As a matter of fact, I know he'd be willing to do that.
You do?
Ultimately, that's not what he wants to do. Mm. He would like, but sometimes things don't work out ideally. Hey, the Lakers take a flyer on him. Or maybe, Skip, who knows? What is he, a top 40 ranked prospect in 2023 right now, 6'3", 190-pound guard. He's a 4-star recruit. So who knows? He could develop. Obviously, the rules hadn't been changed, so he can't hardship and come straight to the NBA.
Unless LeBron could get it changed just for this.
I don't know. I don't think he could do that, Skip. And so he'd have to go 1 year of college, so we're still looking at, we're still 2 years away from that.
2 years away?
So LeBron would be heading into year 22.
22?
Yeah.
And Bronny would be heading into year 1 as probably not the hottest prospect, right?
Right. But it's just an opportunity. Hey, if that happens, Skip, somebody will take, just like they took Ken Griffey Sr. because of Junior, somebody will take.
But it's flipped around this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you cannot compare what Griffey Jr. was to LeBron Jr.
No, that's not you know. LeBron Jr. is LeBron. Griffey Jr. is LeBron Sr.
Correct. Because Griffey Jr., he was driving this train, right?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Because all-time great, right?
Yes.
And yet, I don't know what Bronny's going to turn out to be.
Right.
He's got enough of his dad in him just on instincts, creativity. Mm-hmm. He'll figure it out. He'll be pretty good by the time this happens. Mm-hmm. But LeBron, in age 22, at age 39, well, if you actually played those two a lot together, I think that has 30 and 52 written all over it, right? Well, it just does.
But Skip, at that point in time, look, LeBron wants to win, but I think at that point in time, Skip, it's just about the opportunity to play with my son.
So I know one team that did this once upon a time, the Washington Wizards. Yeah. They said, oh, Jordan wants to finish here? Yeah, we'll do that. He's been out for 3 years. We don't care.
Right.
Abe Pollin said, I'll just do it.
Right.
I'll give him total control of the franchise. I'll let him run my draft.
Right.
Michael got to run the draft.
Right.
The point, he got to handpick his coach. He said, I want Doug Collins to come back and coach me again, right? So at age 39 and 40, Michael went, and he had let himself go to some degree.
Right.
And he was more into the cigars. And
I don't think Bron is going to let himself go.
Okay. Well, he can't to be able to play at some level. But the Wizards, see, this would become just a matter of gate attraction.
Yeah.
And it would be, forget about winning and losing. It wouldn't matter anymore. And that's what the Wizards basically did, because they didn't make the playoffs either year. No. They weren't even 500 either year, right?
Right.
Okay? So it's noble. I love the idea of LeBron saying, at any cost, I will go play with him. But would it be at any cost where it would be intriguing to see who would take Bronny, how high, because they would be thinking, man, we could sell a bunch of tickets, right?
Because he's still LeBron James.
Okay.
He's still LeBron James.
So would they overdraft Bronny? How high would he go? Would he go top 5? Because somebody
No.
Okay, well, you got a bunch of bad teams drafting in there. What if Orlando's down they got the 3rd overall pick and they just say, yeah, we'll take LeBron James.
I think LeBron has had enough for Orlando. That 90 days of the bubble kind of made him sick.
Okay, but I'm just saying, would a team try that? Again, you would have to throw winning out the window.
Right.
Because I don't think you could win with that, especially if Bronny as a rookie were going to play significant, if he was going to be a starter at point guard, and LeBron would play the 2 or whatever.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing, Skip. You know, when you're able to get the number 1 pick in the baseball draft, obviously you've been bad for a number of years. You've been bad, and so it was like you said, it was because of Griffey Jr. that they say, you know what, let's take a flyer on Senior. Okay, you're right. On the flip side,
that was a gift to Junior.
Junior, right?
Yeah.
There's like, if I can get an opportunity to get Senior. Okay, I'll take Junior. I'll take a flyer. Hey, who knows? It might not be a flyer, Skip. He might turn into be a lottery pick. Who knows? He might be a first-round pick.
I'm going to doubt lottery pick, but I can't see yet. I just haven't been able to see it.
Right.
Will he go to Duke for a year?
Yeah, he might. Hey, who knows? He might hit a growth spurt, and all of a sudden, instead of 6'3", he's 6'6", he's 6'7".
Okay, then you got me.
Right.
Then you got something.
But for this opportunity, Skip, at year 22, I don't really know a whole lot of guys, I mean, in basketball that was playing for a championship in year 22.
No.
So at that point in time, it's all about playing. You've accomplished everything that you need to accomplish. Your resume, everything is impeccable.
Because by then he would have passed Kareem, I'm assuming.
Oh, you already know. Yeah, we might be approaching 42, 43,000 points.
Unless he has swollen knees.
There you go. There you can, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. The man, hold on. Are you saying, I just want to get you a record again. Are you saying the man lied about his knees?
I don't know. It was mysterious to me, and it was miraculous.
So the man just sat down. Wouldn't it be better if he had played those 5 games, get that 30 points per game, get him step closer to Kareem?
I don't know. You know him. I don't know.
You do know. You know that man loves playing more than anybody.
You're the 5th horseman.
Does he not love playing the game of basketball?
Well, he avoids games here and there.
There you go.
I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not getting involved in this conversation. No mercy. Kellen Moore looks like he's returning to the Cowboys coaching staff after losing out as a finalist for the Dolphins gig. And meanwhile, Dan Quinn, who was also a hot candidate for a head coaching position, will also be back on the sidelines for Dallas, who will retain both coordinators for next season. So, Shannon, scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you that Moore and Quinn are both back? 1 to 10.
Probably 1, 2. I didn't really think Kellen
12 or 1, 2?
1, 2. 1, maybe 2.
Okay.
1 or 2.
No, not 12. Right. 1, maybe 2, Skip. I didn't think Kellen Moore was going to get a job, but then over the last 3 or 4 days, you heard, like, okay, he got a second interview with the Dolphins, and it was down to the last 2 candidates, he and Mike McDaniel. Dan Quinn, once he didn't get one of those 2 big jobs, the Broncos or the Bears, I was like, but here's the thing, Skip. I don't know why you happy, because the guy that's over them is still there. Mike McCarthy, drop the mic, go still be messing up challenges, go still be terrible in situational football, go still be giving those horrible pep talks, and guess what? You go come in here on Monday in September, man, talk about I've seen enough, I've had enough, just fire him already, Jerry, and I'm going to be right here egging it on, saying, nope, keep him on the staff, Jerry, don't let him go, don't let him go.
I will need Pepto-Bismol because of his pep talks, correct?
Yep.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10, my shock factor here is all the way up at a 10 because I just thought Dan Quinn was the hottest candidate on the market. Silly me. I thought Kellen Moore was mid-hot. I thought that maybe just because Sean McVay and, you know, down that tree, the Kyles and all those guys that were there in Washington, he's another one of those kind. And yet, I can guarantee you, Kellen Moore has been calling every play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, to your point, I think you made this a couple shows back. The last 11 games of this Cowboy season did not leave me wanting more of Kellen Moore because I don't know what happened, but the magic stopped.
Right.
Whatever his attached at the hipness to Dak was, and what do we always say? It's a quarterback's league.
Yeah.
You live and you die as a coach with your performance to your quarterback. Well, Kellen and his wavelength, his rapport, his connection, soul connection with Dak did not produce any more magic down the stretch because they went 6-5 in their last 11 games. And you can't tell me that virtually disqualified Kellen Moore on the open market.
I think that hurt some, Skip, but his team still led the league. His offense still led the league in scoring, still led the league in total yards. So that meant something. He had a 1,000-yard receiver, Zeke did end up getting 1,000 yards. The quarterback had over 4,000 yards. I think he broke Tony Romo's passing touchdowns record in a season. So there's a lot to be positive. But like you said, the second half is that look nothing like the team that started, and everybody says this team is a serious threat, not only to get to, but to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, but what did Please Drop the Mike McCarthy say about their defense? The only statement that rang true to me the whole year was, never seen one side of the ball flipped in the offseason the way we flipped our defense.
Right.
That had something to do with drafting Micah Parsons,
right,
and all the little big moves they made in free agency, Keanu Neal or Kazee or those types of
Kurth played really well,
did. Yep. But in the end, I do think that Dan Quinn deserved a lot of the credit, which should make him, because he's already been to a Super Bowl and had a 28-3 lead over Belichick and Brady in a Super Bowl. I just thought somebody'd say, that guy, I got to have that guy. And I still don't understand what happened. Jerry's acting like he bamboozled both your Broncos and the Bears by making them think that he was going to, any day now, say that Dan Quinn's my new head coach.
Think about this, Skip. You remember what Jerry said right after the game? That he was upset and he was disappointed? Mm-hmm. He was so upset and disappointed, everybody on the coaching staff is coming back. That's how disappointed he was. He didn't shake up anything. Normally, you shake something up, right? When you get that disappointed, we've seen teams let the coordinator go.
The quote was, I'm surprised and I am sick. That's what he said.
So he's so sick.
That sick.
Everybody back. Now.
And he's gloating about it on Dan Quinn, but did he actually promise Dan Quinn? Well, what can you promise him about being the head coach? You can't give him anything on paper.
No.
Right?
Those promises like pie crust. They ain't easily broken.
Okay.
So, I need something in writing. Because remember, Skip, we need documentation. Because I can't take you at your word. The thing is that it's going to be different. You have and this is why you have to seize advantage of these opportunities, Skip.
Okay.
This team is going to look a lot different next year than it did this year.
How? Just with the losses.
Yeah, with players. Right. Randy Gregory got a chance to make some big money.
He does.
I know Jerry Jones said, well, our relationship. No, he got a better relationship with them presidents.
Okay. I believe Dan Quinn made a huge mistake in not pursuing harder those two jobs unless they just said no to him.
I believe they said
no. Because I don't know if he got sweet talked by Jerry, but I'm here to tell you, from what I know of Jerry, if it came down to would he elevate Kellen Moore or Dan Quinn to replace Mike McCarthy, I believe it would. No, I believe it'd be Kellen Moore. It's more like a son to him. That's more Jerry's flavor. I don't think he likes the D coordinator with the cap on backwards on the side.
You better let the guy that flipped it around and your defense look competent.
I agree. Plus, the thing, my biggest pet peeve about this hiring process is that when you elevate some Mike McDaniel, who knows if he can coach a football team? What's he ever done that's even approximated coaching a football team?
And Skip, your team couldn't sack the quarterback 2 years ago, couldn't take the ball away, and they were at the top in all two of those categories.
Oh, boy. Well, the Cowboys,
isn't it?
They're keeping things the same, and we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out.
No mercy.
Guys, Norman Powell, Robert Covington made their Clipper debuts in this weekend's blowout loss to the Bucks. And meanwhile, there are still reports that Paul George could return soon and Kawhi may still play this season. Skip, what's going on with your Clippers?
Nothing.
Shannon Sharpe, I know for a fact the Clippers medical people keeps telling Kawhi, no, no, no. And yet Kawhi keeps telling them, maybe. He's working out hard. He's playing 2-on-2. So if they got Kawhi and Paul George back and they just added Norman Powell and Robert Covington, two great little pickups for them, they are loaded. They'd have as good a shot as anybody.
They got no shot. First of all, and Popovich said, when has Kawhi ever tried to come back early? All of a sudden, medical staff is saying, no, and he's saying, yeah. When our medical staff said, yeah, you said, no.
That's what happens when you turn 30 and you say your window is closing.
Yeah, it closed. And Paul George got a torn elbow ligament in his right elbow. Last I checked, Paul George is right-handed.
Were you singing there, Shannon?
Yeah,
All right.
It's
Keep
over.
it going. Skip, Shannon, we're back same time tomorrow. We got a busy week. The Herd is on next.